There are lots of great cooking competitions. There's Chopped, Hell's Kitchen, Master Chef Junior. But in the Tom's Hardware Labs Test Kitchen, we don't pit chefs against each other. We pit processors against each other. So we took Intel and AMD head processors to find out which of the two companies' high-end chips makes a better pancake. The chips we used were the Intel Core i9 9980XE and the AMD Threadripper 2990WX, with the former on MSI X299X Power Gaming AC board, and the latter running on an MSI MEG X399 Creation board. Both used identical GPU power supplies. The thing is, you can't fit a terribly large pan on a motherboard. We got the smallest one we could find, at 4.25 inches, which would double as a heat sink. To better enable heat transfer to the pan, we smothered the processors in Cooler Master Ice Fusion thermal grease. It's far more grease than we would normally use, but there were grooves in the bottom of the pan, and we wanted to fill those as much as we could. Besides, we weren't actually using this for performance or cooling, just for cooking. Ideally, we would have drilled holes in the pan and screwed them into the motherboards to turn it into a sort of mount. But we had to make this one pan work on two different motherboards with differently shaped processors, so we had to put as much equal pressure on the pan as possible. Before we start regaling you with stories of breakfast made over silicon, here's your notice: don't try this at home. You might ruin your CPU, motherboard, or other components. Alternatively, you could burn yourself while applying pressure to the pan. While much of the fun has been written up below, be sure to watch the video to see hijinks ensue. Making pancakes on an Intel Core i9 9980XE. Cooking on the Core i9 9980XE produced a unique challenge, because despite the fact that the pan was really small, it didn't fit quite right on the MSI X299X Power Gaming AC. To get it on, we had to remove two screws from the back of the board and lift off the VRM cooler. That was attached to a heat pipe, so we had to be cautious in bending it back. In the BIOS, we increased the thermal throttle limit from 100 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius. After all, we didn't need the computer to run well, just run hot enough to cook some batter. Then, we applied a bunch of thermal paste and prepared to cook. It fit into the grooves on the pan. Once that happened, we rubbed down the top of the pan with a little olive oil to reduce sticking. Making pancakes on an AMD Threadripper 2990WX. There were high hopes for pancakes on Threadripper 2990WX because the CPU is physically larger than the Intel Core i9 9980XE. That not only gave us a bigger stovetop, but the larger surface should make it easier to transfer heat. In the interest of fairness, we attempted to change the throttle threshold to 105 degrees Celsius, but couldn't. In this case, we didn't need to remove VRM coolers from the MEG X399 Creation, so we applied an aggressive amount of TIM to get in the grooves of the pan and got to work. If you can't stand the heat, it's clear that there are cheaper, easier ways to cook pancakes. And in more realistic use cases such as gaming or content creation, the Intel Core i9 9980XE and AMD Threadripper 2990WX each had their own strengths. When we did a formal face-off between the two chips, they came up tied. But when it comes to cooking, there is one clear winner. It took far less time to make a better pancake on the Core i9 9980XE because the system only shut down once, and after we increased the throttle limit, it was hot enough to put out a pancake in 15 minutes. While that's long for a pancake, I imagine we could have even gotten it a nice golden brown if we were more patient. It took over 18 minutes to get something goopy on the Threadripper. We are almost wrapping up. These are the common differences between these two. Hope you like this video. Please comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos.